Welcome to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. Each week on this program, Jeff and his guests share their expertise, personal anecdotes, and the latest industry news to keep you in the loop. Now, to provide you with insight and help you navigate the consistently changing world of real estate lending, here is your host for The Mortgage Voice, Jeff Barton.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. Thanks very much for showing. We are on a number of podcasts around the country, the big eight, certainly, Google Music Play, Apple Podcasts, and how many more are we on there, Daryl? 6 or 7 anyway?
Maybe 6 or 7 others, yeah.
Okay, very good.
Now, Spreaker and all that.
Yeah,
Stitcher.
Right. Stitcher, Spreaker, Google Music Play, Apple Podcasts.
Tweaker.
Yeah. Tweaker. No tweaking on the show. Anyway, thanks very much for listening. Thanks very much for tuning in. We make a bit of a joke because trying to assemble the show on a weekly basis is always a bit of a circus, and today is no exception. We've added some equipment. We're trying new styles and new sets. Anybody who wants to see the show can go to YouTube. It's Jeff Barton, the Mortgage Voice. That's our YouTube channel, and we have been getting more and more people looking at it. There are a number of new entrances into the LinkedIn as well as Facebook pages of mortgage brokers, mortgage bankers, and people in the lending industry trying to get the word out as to what's happening in the industry. The show is also heard on 4 different radio stations in California and in Las Vegas, Nevada. So we appreciate anybody who listens through those channels as well. Let's get right to it. What I've been talking about in terms of the other radio stations and some of the LinkedIn and Facebook bankers and brokers and other people who are trying to get the word out is the forbearance issue is finally coming into focus. And there are a number of things you need to consider if you have yet to go into forbearance. If you've gone into forbearance, okay, here's the problem with what you've just done. If you're in forbearance now, i.e. you've decided for whatever reason that you can't or don't want to or want to postpone your next mortgage payment, it's true that it is not going to be on your credit report as a late. However, it is reported on your credit report. And because it is reported as a, I don't know what it's called yet because I haven't actually seen one, but there will be a notation on your credit report that you're not paying your mortgage. It will not affect your score, but it does alert other lenders, people who you want to go to maybe in the next 6 to 7 months, maybe a year or two, and say you want to refi or you want to take money out of your house, or you want to do any number of things to improve your financial situation using the equity in your house by taking money out. Well, you're going to have some difficulty because it's going to show up that you didn't pay your mortgage. Didn't affect your score, but a lender who is looking at your credit report will know that you took a forbearance. Now, the forbearance itself is supposed to be helpful to you, and it probably is for many people out there who have lost their jobs, who can't get a job right now, who are in need of financial help. You have no choice. But for many people out there who do have a choice, remember, forbearance does not carry with it a reason why you go into forbearance as an explanation to your servicer. All you have to do is request it. So there is no qualification for forbearance. You go into forbearance, that's when you're going to have some issues. And in trying to describe it to you, as I said, you can go to LinkedIn, you can go to Facebook. There are a number of different brokers, of different people just like me, who are telling you the different scenarios by which you're going to have to deal with because you're in forbearance. Credit is one of the issues. Getting a loan from somebody else is another one of the issues. My recommendation is the same as another broker I heard today, which I thought she was great at what she described, and she's on LinkedIn. What she said was this: if you're thinking about going into forbearance and you have equity in your home, you have a decision to make. If you have a job still, if you're still making money and you're still trying to decide whether to go into forbearance and you have equity in your house, consider taking some equity out of your house as an insurance policy, something you can put in the bank before you go into forbearance. Now, the forbearance issue itself brings with it responsibilities to the lender and to the mortgage broker. If, for instance, you get a loan 2 weeks after you get a loan, you go into forbearance. That's going to cost your broker, cost your lender up to 7 points by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, or Ginnie Mae. If you wait, and I don't know what the time period is, some saying it's 90 days, some saying it's 6 months. But if you wait the required period before you go into forbearance, there will be no particular penalties to those particular people. However, if you're out there and you're thinking, I need to really consider this, talk to a mortgage professional, talk to your mortgage banker, talk to somebody who knows how you can assess what's best for you now, what's best for everybody in the future. It could be that you paying your mortgage now, taking money out of your house and waiting 2 or 3 months before you go into forbearance is the best for all parties. That is not a suggestion. What it is the information that's out there about forbearance. If you go into forbearance now, if you're into forbearance now, it's going to affect the ability of you to borrow money in the future, because it will show up not in your credit score, but in the list of items in the credit report. It'll show up as a negative, and that negative may prevent you from getting a loan in the future. Now, yesterday I heard a scenario. It was kind of a catch-22 meets I don't know, Dracula. So what happened is this person who was working had a great job, was working a 1099 person, making in marketing about $250,000 a year, working for a company as an independent contractor. That was how they were paying her. So what happens? AB5. Everybody knows what AB5 is here in the state of California. Many other states don't really understand it. But in California, you could be paid as a mortgage professional and a real estate agent as a 1099 employee, meaning that you didn't get taxes taken out and you didn't have payroll. So AB5 comes along this year and redefines what a 1099 worker is. This particular person's employer decided they didn't want to get caught owing the money of her taxes. So they decided to put her on a W-2 basis. Got to make the same money with bonus, no problem. So COVID comes around. Now she has to deal with the fact that she wants to take money out of her house. She wants to take money out of her house because she's not necessarily secure, because she's been temporarily COVIDed out. And I say COVIDed out, I mean she's lost her job temporarily till business comes back. So she wants to take money out, and she wants to be able to get a loan in order to get a cash out of the home she owns. Here's the problem. AB5 switched her from a 1099 employee to a W-2 employee, but she's only been employed since January. That's a negative, and she doesn't have enough in terms of her W-2 salary to justify the loan. Not only that, is the company that she worked for laid her off temporarily until business comes back, after people are allowed to go back to work. So here's a person making $250,000 a year, has been for many, many years, was forced by AB5 to switch from 1099 to W-2, and because of COVID is out of work. She has a job. She has been making money forever, which she can't prove W-2, that's number one, and she can't prove that she can get rehired by the company because she's only been working W-2 for the last 4 or 5 months. Unbelievable. This is what happens when we mix governmental regulations into the private sector way too much. Now, many of the other states have had W-2 for years. In Malibu Funding, the company I work for and the company that puts on the show, they're in 10 different states. So of 9 of the 10 states they're in, W-2 has been the way of the world forever. And in California, for many years, certain aspects of the lending industry has been W-2. But for this particular person, in this particular case, neither AB5 nor the COVID has helped her at all. Needless to say, she can't get a loan. She's pulling her hair out. And my loan officer is getting all the blame. So if you're out there right now and you're thinking about what can I do, either in trying to get forbearance fixed or trying to work this AB5 COVID solution, just remember, many of the professionals in the industry are also pulling their hair out because this is a very difficult situation that just doesn't seem to have a solution. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. For more information on today's topic, email Jeff Barton at info@malibufunding.net. Now, back to The Mortgage Voice with your host, Jeff Barton.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. Thanks very much for listening. And if you would like to hear us, we are on a number of different stations in Las Vegas as well as California. We are on podcasts all over the place, Big 8 Podcasts, Google Music Play, Apple Podcasts, and a number of others, of course. We're also on YouTube. If you want to see this show, and you can also see it on KMET or KCAA, the two radio stations in the Inland Empire in California. They carry a video feed. But if you want to see me on YouTube and see any of these great interviews so that you want to call them up later and check on either a telephone number or a person that is speaking in the interview, go to YouTube, Jeff Barton, the Mortgage Voice. We're there all the time. Each and every week we put a show up. We have a number of different ways that we can contact you. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, YouTube, any number of other Instagrams as well as Twitter. And we try to, as I say, inform. But today I'm really happy because we're bringing on a few new guests, people that haven't been on the show, and that always makes for much better radio rather than listening to me on and on and on week after week. Joining us from Realty One out in Las Vegas, Nevada is Claudia Johnson, an 18-year veteran in the real estate world. I wanted to get her opinion and her advice as to how she would talk to somebody who wanted to get in or buy something today. Claudia, how are you?
Good. How are you, Jeff?
I'm fine, thank you.
Everybody right there.
What's that?
Yeah, how's everyone right now? I'm glad to give you guys some information on how to buy your first home. This is a perfect timing to buy your home since the market is great right now with all the sellers contributing for closing costs. I think it'll be a great time for anyone up there that's listening and is wanting to buy their first home.
Okay, let me ask you a couple of specific questions about the Las Vegas, Nevada market. We've been in a hold pattern for a lot of businesses. Do you see any less activity today than you did 2 months ago?
Yes, of course, because the casino industry, there a lot of the employees aren't working, so therefore it has been, it has taken an effect on the market. However, the construction workers, landscaping business, everyone out there is working. So we've seen a decrease, but not as much as we thought we were going to see. And I guess we won't be able to know until they open the casinos. We're going to have an idea of what's going to happen. But right now, people are still buying.
Okay, that's good. Now, does the fact that it slowed down a little bit affect price at all?
A little bit. It has
okay.
A little bit because, we have a little more standing inventory and, the properties are not selling as fast as they used to. Usually in a market like, spring and summer is the best market to buy a home. And right now it's slowed down a little bit because of what's happening with the COVID-19. But, we feel pretty strong that this is going to be a good market once everything stabilizes again.
Tell me about one of your customers that you're dealing with right now during this time showing properties. How does that work?
Well, the only difference is now, we can only show properties that are vacant, or we have to go see a property where there's, people living in it. We have to schedule an appointment, just give them a few hours ahead of time so that way the sellers could leave the property, and that we only be the person, the agent, and the client looking at the home.
I see. And is that cumbersome for the buyer? I mean, having all these rules and restrictions, does it inhibit them in any way from really looking at the house?
You know what? Not necessarily, because as you know now with social media, we do everything now. When they want to see homes, we send them a list of properties. They view everything online, and they select the properties that they like. So the only thing is pretty much just scheduling the appointment. So I don't think I've had any effect. I'm actually seeing, good feedback from the buyers, because what's happening now is that the sellers are helping with closing costs. So, I had a few people that are now, buying homes with a little of $700.
Oh, that can't be. $700 down? What, they're getting
Seven
help?
hundred dollars down. $700 down, and I have closed many of those transactions because we have a lot of down payment assistance programs here in
Okay.
Nevada where they give you the down payment assistance, and all you need to do is just pay for your appraisal and your inspection, and I will try to get you closing costs from the sellers. So it's easier to buy than rent.
Okay, tell me about what is the program name of the down payment assistance program in Las Vegas?
It's called the Home Possible.
Home Possible, is that,
Home is possible, and they give you up to 5% for down payment assistance.
right,
Okay, and so basically, they pay for your down payment assistance, and now what I try to do is try to get your help from the sellers to pay for the closing costs, and that way you will come in with very little money down.
that's tremendous. Now, this is on an FHA loan, I assume, yes?
Yes, but you know what? I actually closed a conventional loan as well because the program Home is Possible offers both programs. So it will depend on your FICO score, but you could do either or, the FHA or conventional, and like I said, you'll be with the same amount of money down.
Now, my anticipation of what's going to happen in the future may be different than yours. Give us your assessment as to what the market's going to do in the next 6 months.
You know what, we're going to see, especially here, I could speak for Nevada, okay, because like I
Yeah.
said, we won't know exactly until the casinos reopen. But for
Right.
what we've been hearing is once the casinos reopen, they're only going to have 50% capacity, which means that a lot of employees are not going to go back to work.
I see.
So we are going to see in the next 6 months, I think we're going to see a different change. It's going to become more of a buyer's market.
Now, when you're saying, so the casino reopening plan, is it that they can only occupy 50% of the rooms there?
And not only the rooms, but the actual gaming facility could only take up to 50%.
How are they going to monitor that?
Mm-hmm. Sorry,
How-
Jeff, go ahead.
No, that's okay. How are they going to monitor that? Are they going to have guards at the door with a counter?
I guess, you know what, they're trying to do that, but I think they're going to have like some type of accountability. They're going to have someone counting how many people they can have inside.
Right, it has to be.
At one
There.
time. Mm-hmm.
Now, tell me, Claudia, a little bit about yourself too, because you sound as such a professional that you are. Knowledge in the industry is obviously there. But tell me, are you a long-term resident out there in Las Vegas?
Yes, I used to live in California. I was living in
I see.
California for many years, and I moved here in 2002. I moved to Las Vegas, and that's when I started doing real estate. And I've been here for almost 18 years doing full-time in real estate.
No, that's great. I really think that moving from California to Nevada really offers a lot of people who sell their properties here the opportunity to buy cash or to buy with a lot down and really still have money in the bank because, Las Vegas is quite a different city today than it was in 2002, don't you think?
Oh yes, and especially now the way it's growing, it's amazing.
Right.
I mean, the development that we're having right now with all the Raiders coming into town, the
Right.
stadium. I mean, just so much going on now and all the people are moving from all over. It's mostly California. We have a lot of people in California that relocate to Nevada.
Right.
So the house of living here is so much more less than California. It's so much more expensive there.
Yep,
And
I agree.
people like to come to retire and, buy, like you say, buy something where they can just pay cash for, and they have a lot of opportunities out here.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I think it's also quite a different perception of the city. You raise families there. Some of the school systems are getting better. I know that there are major universities there. It's a different idea of Las Vegas than it was, when you started there in 2002.
Oh, most definitely. It has grown incredible. I mean, when I moved here, we had 1 million people living here. Now it's 2 million. The growth here is amazing. And not only that, but, if you really compare the employment sometimes compared to California or other cities in the state,
Yep.
where the minimum wage might be $13 over there, but if you come here and work at the casino, they start you up at $15 an hour, $16.
Right.
Most of my clients work in the casino industry, and they make $20, $25 per hour.
It's
Sometimes
unbelievable.
you can get that in California.
Yeah, I agree with you. Claudia, thank you very much. Could you shout out your phone number for me for people who are listening so they can get in touch with you?
Sure. My name is, like I said, Claudia Johnson, Realty One Group, and my phone number is 702-210-7353. If you have any questions, please feel free to call me. I would love to help you. Thank you,
Claudia,
Jeff.
thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. For more information on today's topic, email Jeff Barton at info@malibufunding.net. Now, back to The Mortgage Voice with your host, Jeff Barton.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. Thanks very much for listening. We are on a number of different podcasts, whether it's Apple or Google or any of the majors, Spreaker or Breaker or Hit Me Over the Header, or what are some of the other ones there, Daryl? You got a list there, don't you?
Yeah, that's you mentioned Spreaker. There's also Stitcher and iHeartRadio.
Oh, yes, iHeartRadio. You know, I had a client actually look it up the other day and said, wow, you guys sound pretty good. So if you're out there right now and you want to hear us on a podcast, those places you can absolutely get to. We're also on a number of different radio stations, KCAA and KMET out in the Inland Empire, K-Tahoe up in the Tahoe area, and K-Ship out in Las Vegas, Nevada, one of our new affiliates. We're looking to expand a few more. Really appreciate people getting involved. If you want to see the show, which you can on YouTube, we shoot the show for video as well as audio. Go to Jeff Barton, the Mortgage Voice. This, as well as 200 or 300 other shows, are there. The history of the show is we try to inform, not sell. And if anything on the show you like or don't like, hey, let us know. Anytime you let us know, it really improves what we do. So we appreciate, again, you listening and trying to get us to get a better show going on. With us today, once again, is George Gonzalez from the Inland Empire. He manages, owns, and operates a little office out there and does really, really well for Malibu Funding. George, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Jeff, over here, ducking and dodging this virus, out here in Rancho Cucamonga.
Hey, listen, I wanted to jump right into a couple of the questions. We had on a guest earlier from Las Vegas who was talking about real estate prices, and the fact that there's such a scarcity of product that prices really haven't been affected. Are you seeing the same thing in Rancho?
Yeah, well, here's the difference. Basically, the way it is now is, and you have to give these two options because to the buyers, because this is what's going on. Is anywhere they're going now, it's, the rates are still low. Don't get me wrong. The rates are
Right.
awesome, historically low. I just locked somebody in on a 30-year fixed at a 3.375, which is unheard of for a 30-year.
That's a smoking rate.
Anyway,
Yeah.
the difference is now, the people, I tell them, hey, you had an option. We can do a lender paid, which won't cost you a dime, or we can do a borrower paid where we have to charge origination. Basically, you're buying your rate. I can get you a 3% or a 3.375. Now, depending upon if the loan amount is big enough to make sense for the difference in the rate, then some people say, you know what, George, that sounds good. I'll pay the $5,000 or $6,000, whatever it is, to get the 2.99 or the 3% rather than the free 3.375, par pricing one. So that's basically it. And they've taken a lot of rebate back. They've taken away some of these what do you call those, non-QM loans are hard to come by now.
Yeah,
they are. I'm noticing the banks who are doing the seconds on top of the first, like, the purchases that we were doing, 80, 10, 10s, they call them. PCF is one of the banks that I'm noticing they're starting to cancel some of their lines and telling people, hey, we're not taking
I heard
loans.
they were they were done spring EQ.
On the non-conforming and the harder loans to do.
Mm-hmm.
And just chopping off the top, taking the bigger down payment and the better credit score files first and giving those priority.
Now, in your world and the people that you're servicing out there, are you seeing anxiety about coronavirus stopping people from looking for housing?
Well, on my end, what happened this last couple months, as you noticed, applications kind of slowed down. I got a bunch of pre-approvals, but they kind of said, "Oh, George, hold on. I'm getting, and I'm not a realtor, so they're saying they're getting some information from their realtors that, they should take a break and maybe hold on a second because they don't know if they might find a better deal if somebody's in trouble, not working right now, and might have to sell their house, in a hurry to pay off bills or whatever the situation. They're just assuming, nobody knows what we're going through right now. We're all new to all of us. So they're just assuming and suggesting, but that was 2 months ago. Now they're saying, screw it, we need to get a house. We're tired of renting, and so
Right.
let's do it. So I'm just going with the flow.
Yeah, I
if
do.
they want to go, if they go. There's no, everything is disclosed up front. I can't guarantee you guys anything that your value is going to fall, your value is going to gain. I have no information on that. I can just do your loan as it is now.
Now,
So,
that's a good point. You've got appraisal issues. You've certainly got valuation of the property, whether it's going up or down. People, as you said, were waiting to see if properties went down, and they didn't go down. What do you think is, I guess, the impetus for getting someone off the dime to go and get that house and then obviously get the loan? Because the loans are really good if you've got a conventional loan right now.
Oh yeah, they're awesome, Jeff. Like I mentioned, man, they're hysterically low. I was, some other people like on the refi side called me and asked me, hey Georgia, what are the 20s and the 15-year looks like? They're the same deal. You might as well just do the 20s because and not have to be crunched into a tighter payment. You can just pay that extra every month if you choose to, not be forced to.
That's true
yeah,
too.
Like you said, man, the values are still there. My appraisals are still coming back fine, as far as I know. So, it looks fine. I haven't seen the market affected one way or the other.
Yeah. Do you think that the supply and demand issue as a result of not having enough housing is one of the reasons? Go on. I'm sorry.
No. Well, I what I was going to say is I see what you're saying is because everybody's on hold. It's just like when restaurants open up and when the bars open up and when everything opens up, the sports venues and all this, and Vegas opens up and Disneyland. There's going to be crowds. It's going to be a rush. People want to get back to live.
Right.
So same thing I feel is going to happen with the purchase. With the purchase, they're going to say, "Oh man, we better get back out there and find a house."
Right. Right. No.
So that's my feeling. I'm just right now I just hired another processor. So that's where I've been training. A new processor because I'm ready for the way. There's a big wave coming of buyers.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And so now
I think
it's
yeah. Go ahead, George. I'm sorry.
No, that's right. No, let's go ahead, Jeff. That was it. I just think I'm just getting ready for the wave that's supposed to be coming.
It's very interesting that you say that. I mean, what we've been hearing is the wave of coronavirus. We're not hearing about the wave of consumerism, the wave of house purchases, the wave of refinances coming, because that is what's coming. Most of the lenders I talk to tell me they are swamped. Anybody who is in a regular conventional FHA, VA situation on conventional loan limits is swamped right now.
That's correct.
And it's because the rates are so low. I mean, let's face it. I saw a 15-year the other day at I think it was 2.9 something. I'm like, this is really low. And I don't know.
I locked somebody because they had a lot of equity, so they got a better price at like a 65% loan to value, the value. And I locked them at a 2.75, Jeff, on a 15-year.
That's really amazing. I mean, a 2.75, you're really giving away money if you're a lender.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, exactly. Right. You're kidding me? So it's ridiculous. I suggest 15 years to everybody I know if you can afford it. Do the 15, sacrifice those 15 years, and you're going to save hundreds of thousands of dollars.
You take somebody from a 4.5, 30-year fixed to a 2-point-something 15-year, and I bet the payment isn't all that different. A couple $100, maybe.
A couple $100.
Yeah.
Exactly. A couple $100. I mean, to save hundreds of thousands. Are you kidding me? It's a no-brainer.
I agree. It is a no-brainer if you can afford it, especially now. What we don't hear about is there's still 140 million people working. The pent-up demand is huge. What happens when, I guess the state of California is going to open up some beaches tomorrow too?
Well, and then I don't know if you've seen today, or I think it was on the news, they just extended LA's at home and through August.
Oh, you're kidding? No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, LA County just got extended through August. I think it was a Channel 7 News. One of my clients texted me.
Wow, through August?
That through August. Are you kidding me?
No,
You know,
that's not going to fly in some of these other counties.
I think they're still doing the phases of opening like they're supposed to, but
Yeah, right. It's
I'm not
just
sure.
it just means right that only certain businesses can open at certain times. George, we're up against the clock here. You want to shout out your phone number for people who want to get a hold of you out there?
Number is 909 area code 900-9565. Once again, 909-900-9565.
Thanks, George. Thanks very much for coming on the show once again.
Hey, thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome. That's George Gonzalez from Malibu Funding. I'm Jeff Barton, your host for the Mortgage Voice, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. For more information on today's topic, email Jeff Barton at info@malibufunding.net. Now, back to The Mortgage Voice with your host, Jeff Barton.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. Thanks very much for listening. We are on a number of podcasts, Apple and Google and Spreaker and iHeartRadio. All of these different podcasts are part of the Big Eight. If you want to hear us, go there. Click on whatever you can to have us join your particular group of podcasts that you listen to. Why? Because the information you get here, you're not going to get other places. We don't sell us. We try to inform you. And that's what we're doing today. We bring to the broadcast many different opinions, voices, different companies, and it only can add to your knowledge base in trying to help you get through whatever it is that you're trying to get through in this particular environment, as well as other environments. Look, buying and selling, borrowing money, it's always needed. And because we're here for you, we hope you're there for us. If you want to see us, go to YouTube, Jeff Barton, the Mortgage Voice, and you can hear and see this particular show as well as hundreds of others that we do the same thing. With us again is Ginny Bertoli. Dr. Bertoli has been on the show many, many times talking to us about some of the psychological as well as real estate issues that she deals with in her practice as well as her life. Dr. Bertoli, thanks for coming on the show and welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back during these very bizarre times.
Okay. Now, we had talked off air, and I wanted to catch your, I guess, the raw emotion of it. I asked you how it was going down in Florida, and I think you answered it's bizarre or something like that. Describe what is happening there.
You know, okay, so I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, and it's an island that I live on, and it's kind of isolated and in a bubble that my tennis hasn't stopped, the golf hasn't stopped, but yet we know as a bigger picture, all this stuff is going on. So it's more that friends and friends of friends are affected, and we're hearing stories from other cities. So it's just this really bizarre feeling of, the most way I can describe it is like we're holding our breath.
Right.
Wondering what's going to happen next. What's that going to look like? Are we opening too soon? Did we overreact?
Right.
None of us really has the knowledge to know these things, you know, at our level. So we're just trying to decide what information we consume and trying to manage our emotional states. So I feel like the psychological stuff is super important for all of your listeners, no matter whether they're dealing with real estate or whatever, because this is unprecedented times for us.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have a question. There are people who binge watch this stuff and surf the net daily for something, anything that gives them a ray of hope, while at the same time, you know, going up and down with the emotions and the theories of, you know, I don't know, the whatever the theories are of that day. How do you convince people that the best thing to do is to take care of themselves and forget all that nonsense?
Okay, I'm going to tell you straight up.
Okay.
One is we don't know enough, and you're not going to find the right news source that's going to give you enough information, who to trust, etc. So the best thing you can do, the best antidote to anxiety is action.
Right.
I want you to take care of yourself, your health specifically. Get moderate amounts of exercise. Take in nutrient-based foods. Forget the pizza, forget the mac and cheese. Get some salads in. Those salads, that yoga, that meditation, that stuff that maybe you've heard about over the years and have never quite tried, because it's
Right.
just to keep our stress down and our
Right.
bodies, our immune system as high as possible. You may get it, you may not get it, but I want that if your listeners are exposed to this virus, if they've got their bodies tuned up and ready to take it on and have minimal symptoms should that occur, and to protect their loved ones and their families in the same way. The antidote is action, and it is not more information, because the media, whichever side you're on, their
Right.
job is to basically keep ruminating on this, and it hypes you up, whether it's about a conspiracy theory or it's about the underreported deaths. It leads to this heightened state that is absolutely working against your immune system.
Yeah, that's great news. And the way you talk about it is right. And what other than, like you said, yoga, better food, the daily existence, which is 24 long and you can only sleep so much, the actions that you do, you know what I mean? I mean, most people are like, oh, I'll just, drink a bottle of wine and sleep 12 hours. Well, that's not only going to work for so
Right.
long. And this has gone on for 6-8 weeks. The suggestions that you have, like, for instance, give us an idea of what you're doing in terms of your own, whether it's a secondary career or in terms of a creative side, in order to try to alleviate some of that stress, just so that our listeners can hear an example of somebody else, somebody who is in this business.
Well, I have to admit straight off the bat that I'm embarrassed to say my life is pretty easy and not that much changed. For whatever
Okay.
reason, my golf and tennis clubs, that I live on this island, so I walk to it, it's
Right.
still open. And although they've changed the way they operate, they're still in operation. So I still walk the dog. I still go for runs because I'm a runner. I play tennis. I interact with people socially, but at a distance. I'm super careful with the social distancing and wearing masks and everything. But and then one thing I've really gotten into is cooking food. I've been
Okay.
going through a recipe book for whole food, plant-based eating,
Yep.
which is the way I eat now. It's about prevention of disease, and I've gotten into cooking. So I'm cooking, and I'm walking the dog, and I'm watching Netflix, and I'm playing
Uh-huh.
tennis, running, and the days are going by, and I'm doing house projects. So the days have gone
Okay.
by pretty easily for me. But I do recommend for other people who don't have it quite that easy. They're dealing with kids at home. They're dealing with stresses in their relationship, and everybody's getting on each other's nerves.
Yep.
Take some time away from these stresses, from these other people. Do a puzzle. Color in one of those adult coloring books. Really put on some meditative music and just read a book. Allow yourself things that we don't take time for when we are running around in what used to be normal.
Okay, now that's great advice, and it's absolutely what I'm doing. Now, I know you also have real estate properties around the country. How have you been affected by the, I guess, non-rental income, or has it affected you at all? I know that many of my friends who own properties are dealing with the fact that they're not getting the same income or less or no income, depending on the job or the rent forgiveness or whatever it is that they're dealing with.
Right. Well, I'm definitely aware of it. All of
Mhm.
my tenants, I have 6 properties where I have tenants, and all of them have been able to pay on time and in full. But I have been conscious
Good.
and aware and checking in with them. And I think tenant management is an important aspect of being an investor, and letting them know I'm thinking of them and I'm caring about them. I don't really offer, hey, do you need a break? Because I'm not trying to set myself up for failure, but just
Right.
letting them know, I know this is bizarre times, hope you're doing okay. And
Right.
I am thinking that the market is going to switch to being, this is just my own opinion, to being a buyer's market, or it's been more of a seller's market in the markets that
Mhm.
I buy in. So I've been searching out new potential properties as well.
Oh, that's a good idea. I think being creative at whatever you consider, a strength or something that you want to do for you, looking for opportunities in the real estate world, that's really, really a good idea. On the show today, we've talked to people in the Inland Empire in Southern California, as well as in Las Vegas, Nevada, and you're down in Florida. So we get a sense nationally of what's happening. So you think, based on just an opinion, that we might see a break in prices there.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question about it. I've heard some real estate where people just aren't putting things on the market, or the people who are putting things on the market now are more desperate / flexible in their pricing. And I recently got a HELOC personally, and that
Mm-hmm.
allows me to buy some things for cash. And
Great.
so I feel like I've set myself up for my next investment or two. And definitely I see that there may be less of a supply, because the only people that are going to put things on the market are people who really need it. But I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely think for the next, this is just my opinion, I feel like the next at least 2 to 3 years, the prices are going to go down.
Okay, excellent advice. And also, thanks very much for coming on the show. Once again, knocking it out of the park.
Thank you for having me. And listen, can I say to all your listeners, please take care of yourselves. Please try to stay de-stressed. Please try to take care of your families and reach out to your neighbors and loved ones who may need some assistance.
Thank you. Dr. Jeannie Bertoli has joined us today. Jeannie, thanks very much.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, we'll talk soon. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. For more information on today's topic, email Jeff Barton at info@malibufunding.net. Now, back to The Mortgage Voice with your host, Jeff Barton.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. And if you are listening to me right now, you can also listen to us on several podcasts. Apple has a podcast, Google, iHeartRadio, Spreaker. There are a number that they call the Big Eight, and we're on all of them. So if you're listening on a podcast, thank you very much. If you want to leave us a terrific review, that would also be great, or a bad review. Either way, it helps other people find us when they're looking for us, and we can also be seen on YouTube. We shoot this for video, and we have a number of different guests that come on with their names and their numbers. So if you've missed anything during this show, go to Jeff Barton, the Mortgage Voice. That's the channel that it's on YouTube. We are also 4 different radio stations. We do a 1-minute mortgage update on a daily basis on Twitter, Instagram, on Facebook, as well as LinkedIn. And all of these things are our way to really try to get people through, and also offer some solutions that you're going to have if you want to buy a house, you want to refi, you want to do things. You don't want to get caught in the forbearance trap. You don't want to get caught in not paying if you can pay. There's all kinds of things you need to know. But the next person I'm bringing on the show has been on the show before, Jenny Terry, right? That's what it is. Of course it is. I had to read it because I'm so used. What's that, Jenny?
Yep,
What'd
I
you
got
say?
married, so I had to
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And I happen to love that name too, because it's so similar to your last name. And Jenny Terry is she's a sports endurance and speed coach, and we really appreciate it. She's had a long, illustrious career in many aspects in different areas of that profession. And I wanted to bring her on the show today because in terms of stress relief and things that you can do, what are you recommending to people on a daily basis, especially those who may not be used to working out all that much?
Yeah, I think baby steps is
Yeah.
really making sure that people are getting out into the sunshine, taking walks, something that gets your heart rate up. And I mean, the endorphins you get running, but even going on a walk, seeing people out even from a distance, it definitely relieves stress and also just makes you a little bit less depressed than seeing all 4 of your walls all the time.
Right. Now, I know that you've been up in Seattle. You spend time, split time really, between the Ventura County area as well as up in the Seattle area. When you're up in Seattle, it's a bit more, I guess, isolated. What are you personally doing in order to relieve some of that? Obviously getting out. Are you running? Are you doing other things? Meditation? Are you spending more time cooking? What are some of the de-stresses that you also do?
I was going to say all of the above.
Oh, okay, great.
One of the things I wasn't doing at first in all this is getting on a schedule. And for me, having just even 3 things on a list that I want to accomplish in a day. And one of those things is always some form of exercise. So whether it's going on a run, fortunately the weather's been really nice in Seattle, which isn't always the case.
Right.
But just going on a run around one of the lakes. We tuned all of our bikes up at our house. We had about 3 bikes that weren't working, so we tuned those up so that we'd have access to be able to ride bikes. And even every night we've been going on a neighborhood walk, just checking out the neighborhood, just the 2 of us, and that's been also a huge stress reliever, something we look forward to at the end of the day.
Now, okay, so exercise.
Cooking, lots of cooking.
Okay, what kind of cooking are you doing?
We're actually eating really well, so
Great.
trying different recipes. We have elk in our freezer from when Michael went elk hunting, so we have elk burgers, elk bolognese. We made lasagna, which I've never made before, enchiladas. I mean, we're really eating very well.
That sounds like it. It sounds like elk. I've never had elk. What does it taste like? Elk?
It's good. It's almost like beef. It's a little bit, so someone told me, I've never had deer, but it's somewhere between the gaminess of and leanness of deer and beef. So it's right in the middle. So it's not gamey and it's not as fatty. So it's very good.
Okay, so now you train a lot of different types of athletes, young athletes, old athletes. In a situation like this where it's, I guess it's distance training, how are you managing that?
Couple different ways. I mean, FaceTime helps a lot.
I see.
Text, just encouraging. Sending workouts when I can. There's a website and an app that's actually for coaches where you can connect and you can actually see people's runs, you know, either through Strava.
I see. Right.
You know, being able to keep track of people that way. We started a challenge, as you know, with Ragnar Challenges. We're putting a team together to run 500 miles in 14 days. So things like that definitely help motivate me to keep running myself and also to stay in contact with clients and motivate them as well.
That's interesting. Okay, so joining an online group while you're doing an independent kind of run is really a good motivation for runners. What other, I guess, sports might be available in that situation? I'm just trying to think. Bike riding, maybe swimming. I don't know.
There's lots of challenges. Like I said, on Strava is a great resource. There's biking, there's swimming, there's running. When it comes to other sports, I'm really encouraging people, especially sprinters, to go out and run hills, trying to get more out on trails, different things like that. That's a little bit different because we don't have the gym equipment like we used to.
Right.
We're able to do some strength training just by doing a lot more hill training.
What are you hearing or seeing as recommendations for gyms opening, or what type of protocols are going to be in place for people to either visit group workout sessions, gyms, teams? How have you in the community, how are you going to deal with that?
Yeah, it's a great question. To be honest, I mean, I hear different things and nothing has been, I don't know what's accurate.
Right.
So I know that, you know, what we're doing right now, it started this week, is I have had very small groups doing at a park. We had some kids out doing some training, but keeping them, you know, at a distance from each other, making sure that equipment's not being shared. All those precautions, which in general, you know, even when things do quote unquote go back to normal, we really need to continue keeping those precautions and making sure we're cleaning our equipment, that we're, you know, not sharing equipment as much. So I think those precautions will obviously should be maintained even when those restrictions are lifted. But I know that outdoor activities will definitely start up before the gyms start opening up.
Yes, I've seen it, and I've even seen some of the counties in Southern California open up in terms of their parks or maybe some beaches here and there as maybe a precursor to what's going to be happening soon. And yet, I just heard that LA County is going to have a lockdown until August. So it's kind of mixed bag everywhere.
It really is. And, you know, if you go to LA County, you have to wear your mask everywhere. When Ventura County, you don't. So it's like trying to figure out. And my guess is that small gyms will open up first. You know, larger gyms are going to be
Right.
limited to the number of people they can have inside. So, you know, hopefully the mom and pop gyms will have a chance to open up and start business.
Yeah, because this has never happened before, I've never seen anything like it.
Oh, no.
It's difficult to get a handle on a schedule. You mentioned schedule; it's very important to me. And as an athlete, that's like the number one thing. You have to have a schedule. How are you scheduling your athletes?
My athletes or myself?
Well, either one. I mean, yeah.
Well, the high school athletes that I work with, you know, fortunately they do have some online schools, so that kind of creates a schedule for them.
I see.
But, you know, part of that is up to their parents of getting them to bed at a certain time and those things. But trying to, you know, make sure that they have something that they need to accomplish every day in some kind of workout. And then having them continue to do that at the same time every day, so that they start having a routine of when they wake up, when they eat breakfast, when they work out. So at least the beginning part of that day is
Right.
scheduled in, and you know, that's what I'm encouraging everyone to do.
Jenny, we are up against the clock, but could you shout out your phone number for someone who may need a coach in terms of this, not only your expertise in your sports, but also because getting motivated is part of the problem right now?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep. Are you ready?
Yes, I am. Go ahead.
Yep. They can reach me at 805-708-7171.
Okay, very good. That's been Jenny Terry, and she is a speed and endurance coach. She's coached athletes from Seattle, Washington, down to Ventura County and beyond. Jenny, thanks very much for coming on the show.
Absolutely. We'll see you tomorrow morning for the run, Jeff.
Yay! Okay, very good. Thank you, Jenny. All right. I'm Jeff Barton. I'm your voice in the mortgage industry. Thanks for listening to the show, and we will see you next time.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. For more on today's topic, visit www.malibufunding.net.